Welcome to the Cal Corporation's series of videos about software engineering. The topic of this video is C++ exception handling. Before proceeding, make sure that you have already watched these other videos first. The preferred exception handling mechanism in C++ is called C++ exception handling. It is different from MFC's obsolete exception handling macros. Your running program will perform the block of statements within this try block. If nothing bad happens by the time this try block is finished, then the subsequent catch clauses are skipped over. But an exception could occur during the try block. Sometimes this is because the system has detected that some unusual, troubling event has occurred. We say that the system reacts to that by throwing an exception. By the way, C++ exception handling can catch exceptions that originate from C code, in addition to those that originate from C++. As a programmer, you can also cause an exception to be thrown by writing your own throw statement. When an exception is thrown, the remaining statements in the try block are skipped. Instead, we jump into one of those catch clauses. Whenever an exception is thrown, it has some typed value, which could be as simple as this integer 1. Those catch clauses act analogous to overloaded functions, whereby only one catch clause is chosen because it matches the exception value's type. The body of the chosen catch clause can contain C++ statements, which will then be performed. Those statements receive the exception value analogous to the way a function receives a parameter that's passed by value. The try block could have involved function calling. The remaining statements in that function are also skipped, just like the remaining statements in the try block. The function call stack is unwound before choosing a catch clause. That function had created a variable scope, which is prematurely ended. Any local object variables in that scope are destroyed using their destructor as part of this stack unwinding that happens before choosing a catch clause. This C++ exception handling mechanism can be nested inside of an even larger case of C++ exception handling. In your catch code, you can write a throw without value. That causes the same exception to be rethrown out to the outer nesting of exception handling. You can use a default catch clause to match any type of exception. Otherwise, if the thrown exception type doesn't match any of your catch clauses, that exception will automatically go out to that outer nesting of exception handling. If there is no outer nesting, then your software will abnormally abort with a call to terminate. You can use any type for exceptions that you manually throw, but all compiler-thrown exceptions will be an instance of a class that derives from a base exception class. Exceptions thrown by the standard library will derive from logic error, which itself derives from that exception class. Your own code is also allowed to throw using these same exception types. To catch and handle exceptions that occur during the middle of a construction process, your constructor could contain an ordinary try and catch, but that wouldn't capture exceptions occurring during base class construction. It also wouldn't capture the common bad alloc exception that the system throws when memory fills up. To capture all of these situations, use this constructor try-catch block. If you write your constructor try-catch without manually doing any kind of rethrowing, then the compiler will implicitly add a throw at the end of the catch clause for you. You can hint to a compiler that your function's implementation might throw an exception. This is optional, but it might help the compiler do better optimization. If your do function will never throw an exception, then you can also hint about that. If you lie about that and throw an exception anyways, then software will abnormally abort at runtime with a call to terminate.